Yo, 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 what is up, y'all? Welcome back to Moreno World. This is the 2026 college football preview series, and today we are tearing through the ACC. It's me, it's Pesci the Pug. We have a massive 19-team slate today because we're tacking 18 ACC members, plus we got to add in there Notre Dame because let's be honest, it's time for them to join a conference already. It's time for them to play conference football and stop being different. We need to talk some Irish football, so we're including them in the ACC. We got Pesci the Pug, who's going to be joining us today, and she always has great insights. You got anything to say today, Pesci?
SMU race.
The Pug likes SMU. And also now, normally, if you've been following the show, we got co-host TC Wolfcatcher sitting with us, but he's still out recovering from his sex therapy retreat to celebrate his third successful completion of his sex addiction program at TC Wolfcatcher Rants. Check that out. If you have sex addiction issues, he can go help you out. He's helped himself out. He completed the program twice. Shout out to TC. We wish him well. But no matter what, it's almost football season, so the show has to go on, and we are going to bring in an absolute heavy hitter today, filling in the seat. He's making his first ever appearance on the college football preview series, a fellow well-known sex addict and host of the Moreno World NFL preview series, where he's actively predicting the future of all 32 teams. If you haven't checked out that series, go for it. I think he's about 12 teams deep. To me, it's easily some of the best NFL content on the internet right now. I used to share the field with this guy. We knew him back then as number 44, one of the best middle linebackers in the entire state of Nebraska. Then he went on to lead the infamous Telomere Connection Research Project here in Nebraska, one of the best researchers in the Midwest, which did lead to some legal troubles. And advised by our counsel, Mr. Lawyer Lee Greenwald, he strictly advised us not to discuss any of those researches pending the allegations. So I'm going to take the advice of our counsel, and we won't speak on that. But maybe if you drop a comment, maybe Mr. Smallz will talk about that. After his research days, I don't want to get this wrong because it's crazy. After his research days, he briefly took his talents to Hollywood, starring in a Lifetime movie alongside Janet Jackson titled Once You Go White, Your Future is Bright. And his acting career never really manifested the way some thought after that promising leading role. He had some troubles, but now he's just an absolute NFL junkie. And somehow this degenerate has found his way to Moreno World. He's an all NFL guy all the time, but I managed to drag his ass to the college football show today to break down the ACC. And we are happy to be joined by him today. Buckle up, everyone. Enjoy the ride. Grab a beer, grab a friend, grab a buddy, spread the news, and let's get into some football today. Yo, man, on this show, we improvise, we get through. Smallz said that he got caught up in something. He got caught up in some craziness. I don't know if I can reveal that. We did mention that the dude does struggle with some legal issues based on some research projects. He might be able to bless us. He might not. But no matter what, we know, just like Celine Dion let us know back in the day, the show must go on. And I'm not going to leave you like that girl did to our loved Jack Dawson when she just left him to freeze to death. I would not do that to you. We're here to talk ACC football, and we're going to do it. And as always, as we've done, if you've been watching this show for the last month or so, we've had Straight Edge Barbershop. If you went in there, hopefully, I know I've heard from a few people, you got your discount, you got your free haircut by mentioning chocolate ass. Hopefully we can get Straight Edge Barbershop back on board. But for the past month, this show has been brought to you by Fat Ass Tony's Bail Bonds out in Jackson, Mississippi. This is the official sponsor of Bad Decisions. Whether you had a night out with the boys that got a little out of hand, or you've been accused of endangering someone and potentially creating Stockholm situation type environments, either way, Fat Ass Tony's is your one-stop shop to help your ass stay out of jail. Hopefully you get in there, let Fat Ass Tony know that Moreno World sent you for 20% off of your bail bond. And we're trying to get Tony out on the show. He always says that he's not much of a talking guy for college football. He's just there to help you get out of jail. Very interesting type figure. Kind of reminds me, it's kind of like a bigger version of Gilbert Godfrey, if you can remember Gilbert Godfrey back in the day, but just one of those presents. As soon as he walks into the room, you know he's there. You feel like a vibe, an aura, just a special. It's almost like there's a predator in your presence, but that it's almost like there's something dangerous there. You know that you don't want to rock the boat too much around him, but he will get your ass out of jail if you need it. So hit up Fat Ass Tony, mention Moreno World, and today we are talking ACC football, and we're excited to talk ACC football. Lots of stories, and we're adding Notre Dame because it is time that they finally join a conference. We've been waiting for them to join a conference. They play ACC basketball, but for some reason they cannot join a football conference, and their schedule's weak. So we're going to talk some Notre Dame football as well. The home of Rudy Rudiger, the home of Lou Holtz. We'll talk some Notre Dame football today, which we're very high on Notre Dame. I got the North Carolina jersey on. We'll be talking about Bill Belichick today. We'll be talking about that story, breaking down the whole ACC. We did just hit 10,000 subscribers. So thanks everyone that's been sharing it. This is a page that just started a couple months ago. It's awesome. We're talking World Cup all summer, and now we're getting into some football. Thanks for everyone that shared it. Continue to do that. Continue to make sure you like. Continue to make sure you subscribe. Know what you think about Pesci the Pug. I think she's the biggest star of the show. Thank you so much for celebrating this journey. I'm still not 100% sure what I'm doing, but I'm enjoying the process with all of you. Thank you so much from Lincoln, Nebraska to wherever the hell you are. 10K, baby. And man, damn, I was so excited to have Smallz on. I was very excited to tell you about his movie that was out on Lifetime with Janet Jackson. Once you go white, your future is bright. But I don't want to talk about it too much without him. I love to have him tell the story from scientist, which we can't talk about, as I mentioned earlier, from star football player to scientist to actor with Janet freaking Jackson to now making some of the best NFL content on the internet. He still has his NFL series. We got a video that we'll be releasing in about 30 minutes. He's going to have videos out every day as NFL series. Hopefully, maybe he can pop on for a little bit by the time we get this over with. But I won't talk about this. But Once You Go White, Your Future is Bright, starring Janet Jackson and Kyle Small, one of the best Lifetime movies ever made. It was a Valentine's Day special back in the day. I enjoyed it. I still enjoy it. I think it's right up there with the AC Slater Recipe for Seduction, where AC Slater made it was a story on Colonel Sanders and his story on how he made chicken, his famous chicken recipe, but also how he fell in love. This is one of those type of stories, just a great story where Smallz plays an ex-gang member that just got out of prison, and he finds and falls in love with Janet Jackson, and he lies a little bit about his history, and they fall in love, and then she's caught in a turmoil. Does she stay with him, even though he's kind of the bad boy, made bad decisions? Or does she let him go? And it's one of those you got to watch. There's a lot of twists and turns there. Janet Jackson obviously crushes it. She's beautiful. She makes great music, great actress. You think about the films that Janet Jackson did. She did Poetic Justice with Tupac Shakur. And then she did Once You Go White, Your Future is Bright with Kyle Small. So go check that out. Great movie. And we're here and we're talking ACC football. But I always start out with a 62-24 Nebraska over Florida to remind me of the glory days for Nebraska football when everything was good, man. Behringer was a substitute. Michael Jordan was balling. And Nebraska was the most dominant team in college football. Times were so good back then. We didn't know what we had, and one day we'll get them again. Nebraska will be back. Shout out to all our Husker fans. That's what Moreno is. Big Husker fans. Always go Big Red. Home of the sellout streak since 1962. Nebraska will be back, so I always got to make sure I plug in Nebraska there. But today we're breaking down ACC football with Notre Dame included. And the way that we've been doing this, so we've been going the order by over-under wins. So I'm going to start with Notre Dame, who's their over-under wins projection this season is 11. We'll get down to Boston College. We'll zip through them. Some of the favorites. We'll maybe talk a little bit more, some of the players to watch, maybe talk a little bit about the schedule, talk about some of the bets that I'm going to make, and we'll try to get you out of here in 90 minutes. But make sure that you're sharing this with everyone. Like I said, make sure you like it, make sure you subscribe, and let's talk football together no matter where you are. Let me know where you're at. I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska. Let's collab on this. We know we love football. I love football. You love football. So let's talk football together. And we're starting off with Notre Dame, man. The Fighting Irish, who we want to join a conference. I have to include them in the ACC because they're not in a damn conference. And I think they got a light schedule this year for the type of team that they have, with the big hitters that they have, with the NFL prospects that they have. This is a light schedule. You wish that they were in a conference so you could see them test it out. Will it be one of those scenarios again this season where they're left out of the college football playoff if they have a couple slip-ups? I'm thinking with this schedule, man, you better go 11-1. You better go 11-1 with the schedule, or you might be in the same damn boat as last time. You might be like Rudiger before he got on the field, just a straight scrub, wondering what could have happened. Then Coach Freeman, man, he's claiming the motto this year, leave no doubt. Leave no doubt is the motto of this Notre Dame football team this year, after last year being left out of the college football playoff with a 10-2 record. And then they opted out of the bowl. They didn't want the damn bowl game. They wanted to be in the college football playoff. Well, you know how you could get into that college football playoff? You're in a conference and you win that conference, or you play a more competitive schedule so people can see. Because you think about this schedule, we're looking at it right now. I mean, you got Rice. They're not picked towards the top of their conference. Michigan State, Purdue, two of the teams that are picked to finish at the bottom of the Big Ten. You got North Carolina picked to finish at the bottom. Navy, who's going to be a great team, one of my top 10 group of 6 teams, but you're Notre Dame. You're a heavily talented man. You do got the game in Miami. You got the Catholics versus Convicts, which that's going to be one of the games of the season. But then you have Boston College, another team that's picked to finish towards the bottom. You got a date with SMU. That's a good game. That's a great game. But then you got Syracuse picked towards the bottom of the ACC. You got Stanford picked towards the bottom of the ACC, and BYU. So when you really look at that schedule, man, you got probably 3 premier games, and the rest of them are games that you're going to be favored by 2 touchdowns to 3 touchdowns to perhaps even more. Give us a real ACC schedule. Let's see you play some of the juggernauts. You do got Miami and SMU. We'd like to maybe see what would happen in a Miami rematch, depending on who lost that in the ACC championship. What would it look like you play Clemson? What would it look like you play Louisville? Just the full ACC team, and then maybe we know who's the best ACC team instead of you're like an affiliate of it. But yeah, man, you think about, nobody's more prestigious, nobody's more must-see TV than Notre Dame. They're always going to be the life of the party. They're always going to be one of the most talked about college football teams on earth. They're always going to have the TV deal. They're always going to get the ratings, and they got absolute ballers, man. This could be the team to finally bring a national championship back to South Bend after a stellar redshirt freshman campaign with 2,700 yards and 24 touchdowns. Quarterback CJ Carr is back, entering the season as the Heisman favorite. The top odds for Heisman, I was just looking at the odds. He's got better odds to win than Arch Manning this year. So you know that what type of expectations they're expecting from CJ Carr in his sophomore season, and he is a baller. He can sling it all over. And the offensive line brings 4 starters back that have 64 career starts. This will be the top offensive line in the country. They are going to create holes for whoever the hell is at running back. They're going to give CJ Carr all the time to throw to all the weapons he has. You know this offense is going to be dangerous, and they got that schedule to mix with it. Notre Dame is the real deal. And to maximize CJ Carr's talent this year, Marcus Freeman heavily attacked the transfer portal and the recruiting trail, and they added elite talents to their already stacked team. They brought in Quincy Porter. They brought in Mylan Graham alongside top returning target Jordan Faison. This team is stacked, man. And on defense, bring 10 players that started games on defense last year. This is going to be one of the best defenses in the entire country. Kyle Smalls, our NFL expert, says this is the #1 ranked linebacking group in the entire country. Nobody knows linebackers like number 44, Kyle Small. I was hoping to have him on so we could talk about it. Maybe we can get a little short or a little promo, a little clip. But he let me know this is his number one ranked linebacker group in the entire country. Leonard Moore, one of the best corners in the entire country. He's going to lock down whoever. He's going to lock down your number one receiver for every single team. And the Irish got everything that you would want for a national title contender, a national title favorite. I think they're going to be the most bet on team to make the college football playoff out of any of the teams we talk about today. They open with Wisconsin at Lambeau Field, just an absolute iconic game that they're going to have, just a blockbuster game. Can Freeman break the trend and navigate a smoother September to keep the playoff of hopes alive later when we get to the November football? Will they be in playoff conversation? One of the questions I have for this Notre Dame, because, man, they have everything. They did lose 2 game-breaking running backs that were first-round NFL draft picks. So who do they go to? How are they going to replace those weapons that they have? That's going to be one of the big questions. They also replace a kicker. They replace a punter. I wish we had TC Wolfcatcher here because nobody knows the special teams game like him. And he wanted me to make sure that I mentioned that. When I'm looking here, it looks like they're going to go to Aeneas Williams. It's looking like he's probably going to be the starter. He has formerly Phil Still ranked number 16th recruit in the country. They also have Cadron Young, who was the 13th ranked recruit. Nolan James. Which one are they going to turn to? I don't know, man, but you replace 2 first-round draft picks. You know it's not going to be the exact same, so we have questions about what that's going to look like. But, damn, you got to love Notre Dame, man. They are a national title contender for sure. I wouldn't bet against them making the college football playoff. I think they're hungry. Their motto this year, leave no doubt. I think this is a highly motivated team with a really light schedule. I think they're going to make some serious noise. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. The thing I will say, over under 11 wins, that gives you no margin for error. And they do have a couple games margin for error, man. Like that Miami game, November 7th, you could see a scenario where they lose that. SMU's the real deal. That could be a potential slip up. Even at Syracuse, and at North Carolina. I know that Notre Dame's way better. They could win those games by 3 touchdowns, but you could perhaps see a scenario where going into those environments would be crazy. And even USC, that last game of the season, USC, a hungry Big Ten team, that could be a playoff type of eliminator match. So over under 11 wins, I'm not getting involved in that, but I definitely would not bet the under. Let me know in the comments what you're doing. Miami, the Miami Hurricanes, and they enter the season as one of the best. They're the definitive favorite in the ACC because Notre Dame is not in the ACC. We added them to that. Everybody's picking Miami. I have not watched a show where there is anyone. I have not seen a preview book or anybody's tweets or anything on social media suggesting anything besides Miami winning the ACC. They are a team that it's tough to pick against. Last year they upset Texas A&M in the college football playoff. Then they beat Ohio State. Then they beat Ole Miss and made the national championship game. And head coach Mario Cristobal has reloaded this roster. They are absolutely stacked. They have tons of experience. They have high-profile transfers, and probably their top transfer they have is Darian Mensah. They continue to reload with transfer quarterbacks. You know, they hit obviously on Cam Ward. They hit on Carson Beck. Now they're putting all of the chips in the middle of the table on Darian Mensah, he won an ACC championship with Duke last year and broke all of the Dukies' hearts. Sorry, Blue Devils. Sorry to talk about that, but he broke all their hearts when he announced late that he was going to be taking his talents to Miami, to Coral Gables. And Mario Cristobal recently stated that this is going to be the last time that Miami uses the portal to find a signal caller. I am calling bullshit on that. There's no way this team continues to hit. The only way I could see that potentially happening for a year or two is if they miss on Mensah. If he doesn't pan out somehow, I could maybe see them taking a break. But that also means that they probably like their young quarterbacks that are coming to step in. But Darian Mensah is an absolute baller, man. He is an absolute stud. He's the 2026 ACC preseason player of the year. Last year, he threw for 3,900 yards and 34 touchdowns, leading Duke to the conference title. So you think about last year, how crazy it is. We had Indiana winning the Big Ten national championship. Duke winning the ACC. Two traditional basketball powerhouses, balling and football, but now Mensa's to Miami, and he brings an explosive ability to throw that ball downfield. That Beck sometimes lacked. Mensa's not. He has all the arm talent you want. He has Sunday type arm talent, and he's widely considered one of the top Heisman favorites in the entire country. And he has special weapons, and none bigger than Mr. Malachi Toney, one of the best wide receivers in the entire country, 1,200 yards as a freshman, just like the Texas speed goat himself, a Miami kid who grew up in Liberty City, shout out. And he is going to be mentioned with names like Michael Irvin, Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne. That's the type of talent that Malachi Toney is. To me, one of my favorite receivers to watch in the entire country. Absolute baller, electricity every time he touches the ball. Just he's dynamic. Okay, you can't cover him, so you're going to have to double team him. Even the double teams are going to struggle to cover him. Your only hope is that does he roll his ankle? Does he pick up some type of knock? Because you're not going to stop this guy. It's if they can figure out a way to get him the ball, if they just throw it his direction, he's going to make plays, no doubt about it. Malachi Toney is a baller. Running backs, they got Mark Fletcher and they got Shamar Brown. Shamar Brown from Omaha, Nebraska. We're hoping he was going to be a Cornhusker. This provides one of the best running back rooms in the entire country. You got Darian Mensah throwing the ball, Malachi Toney that can catch it, and then you have those running backs. This offense is special. And on defense, we know the U. We know about the U. They're always going to have one of the best secondaries in all of college football. And this year they have 4 starters back, and the staff for the staff from Miami says all 4 of these guys will play in the NFL. And Bryce Fitzgerald, you know, I'm a safety guy, always watching the safeties. Bryce Fitzgerald is one of the top safeties in the entire country. And as good of a freshman season as Malachi Toney had, Fitzgerald had that good of a season on defense. He is an impact player that is special. You can tell he's got Sunday talent. There's no doubt about it. The only question I have for Miami this year is they have to replace a lot. They replace some studs on that offensive line. So they're going to need those 5-star recruits to step up immediately. They're going to have to be ready to go ASAP. And all this hype, all those weapons, it ain't shit if the offensive line can't block. They also lost 2 defensive ends to the NFL. So how do they replace them? But Miami has everything, man, 10.5 wins. You'd be crazy to probably take that under. I mean, I saw them at like minus 150, 160 to win the ACC. That's a crazy number as well to be favored that heavy, but you can see why. You look at that schedule, you got to like almost everything. To me, potential slip-ups that I see on this schedule, it's hard for me to completely just disregard and count out one of the best coaches in football. So at North Carolina, who knows what that might look like. You maybe might think at Clemson, Pitt will be probably Pitt's going to be solid this year. At Notre Dame, and that's honestly probably it. So you're looking at a potential maybe 2 losses, but it's looking like it's probably going to be 11-1 or perhaps even an undefeated season at Miami. I think this team's a college football playoff, especially if that offensive line can block and get going the way immediately from the get-go. SMU, the Mustangs, the Pony Express, a great documentary. If you've not seen the documentary Pony Express on ESPN, go watch that ASAP. And this team is back, man. You remember that old Pony Express teams when SMU just absolutely had it rolling out there in Texas. And this team has been special. They have been providing wins, winning season after winning season. They got a great team. And following their historic 2024 college football playoff run and a strong 24-19 Holiday Bowl victory over Arizona, the SMU Mustangs enter this season as a 10-win or bust type of team. If they win under 10 games this season, this season will be considered a failure, no doubt about it. And they have all the money. They're spending money like they used to back in the 80s when they had those Pony Express teams. They're armed with massive booster investments and an incredibly favorable Power 4 home schedule this season. Rhett Lashley has this roster positioned to aggressively challenge Miami for the ACC crown. No doubt about it. This is a team that spent $150 million on a recovery clinic. $150 million on a recovery clinic. You can see the type of investment that they have to football and how proud they want, how proud the Mustangs tradition is and how much that they want a winner there. And they are recruiting and developing some amazing offensive line out there in SMU. They continue to produce line talent. And this season, they are led by PJ Williams, who is an NFL player, no doubt about it. Absolute stud. He's one of the best offensive linemen in the entire country. He is a dude that if I was a quarterback and I've never been a quarterback before, I think I had one pretty dope halfback pass in my entire life. But if I was a quarterback, I would want a dude like PJ Williams blocking for me for sure. SMU possesses a top notch. They're another team with an absolute studded cast of linebackers. This is the third ranked linebacker group by Kyle Smalls in the ACC, who nobody knows linebackers like Kyle Small. And you look at their schedule, they open up at Tallahassee. And an interesting note, man, this is the first time that SMU has ever played at Tallahassee. So that's crazy. Games on a Monday night. You got to love before NFL starts when we get some Monday night college football. You love that. When I look at the schedule, I absolutely love the over an 8.5. This will be one that I am betting on over 8.5 wins. Put that on the board. That is a lock. I think they need to start off with a win, and that Tallahassee on a Monday night, week 1, that's a tricky one. All right. I think they need that win, set the tone. And then if they get that win, you're really liking it moving forward, looking at the rest of that schedule that it seems like it sets up very nicely for 9-10 wins for sure. This is a team that is 22 in conference play over the last 3 years. So you got to like betting on a winner like that. They draw one of the best schedules in the ACC. I think double-digit wins for sure. Let's all ride the ponies this year. Ride it, my pony. Louisville, the Cardinals, baby, Louisville. And they enter this season with the highest expectations that they've had in over a decade. Picked to finish third in the ACC this year in the ACC media poll, behind only Miami and SMU, who are top 10 teams, coming off back-to-back 9-4 seasons under head coach Jeff Brom. And the Cardinals have built a roster via the nation's number 2 ranked portal class in the entire country, and they could challenge for a playoff spot this year. We know Jeff Brom knows how to win. If the dude won at Purdue, you remember Brom took Purdue to the Big Ten title game in 2022 before the wheels. This is before the wheels fell off. Okay. We know Purdue is kind of the basement right now of Big Ten football, but right before that, Brom was consistently winning there at Purdue. So this dude knows how to win. He's a winning coach, and they are going to turn the keys for the offense, and they're investing a lot of faith in this guy. Lincoln Kienholz, the Ohio State transfer that is from South Dakota, absolute legend from South Dakota, and they're bringing him in, and he has a lot of hype. Can Brom work his magic? Can he work his quarterback magic and get Kienholz playing up to his potential? He has the most passing yards in South Dakota history, and you got to he went to Ohio State. It didn't fully work out Ohio State, and he is known in South Dakota. He was a multi-sport athlete standout there in South Dakota. And Brom has already stated that Kienholz is the most mobile quarterback that he has ever coached. So you got to like the ideas that Brom has. He's an offensive genius. Think about some of the schemes and think of some of the creative ways that he's going to utilize Kienholz's talent this year. Okay, that's a staggering compliment to say he's the most athletic and most mobile quarterback. To a coach like Brom that's coached so many quarterbacks, that is a huge statement there. They have Isaac Brown, man. Isaac the Beast Brown, one of the best running backs in the entire country. Great vision, great just burst of speed, burst through those holes. You give him any type of daylight and he will take it. They got one of my favorite defensive linemen in the ACC, Clev Lubin, also a fantastic name, but he is the crown jewel of this defense. He had 8.5 sacks last year, and he's creating all kinds of first-round NFL draft pick buzz. So he is a beast on that defensive line. They got a secondary that's going to compete with anyone in the country. They have some dogs on that secondary, and Louisville aggressively rebuilt this defensive backfield through the portal, And Brom knew what he wanted, and he brought in some dogs this year, adding Caleb Beasley from Tennessee, Santana Wilson from Texas, DJ Waller from Kentucky, and the star from Iowa in Cohen Entriger. They have all the pieces they want to make some noise, and you look at their schedule, they do not start up. They have no tune-up games for Louisville this year. They're kicking off the season September 6th against Ole Miss at Nissan Stadium. What a banger to start off. We get a banger in Nashville, Louisville, Ole Miss, two teams that have a lot of hype. And you can see a scenario where Brom really sets the tone and establishes himself against Coach Golding, the new coach, full-time coach at Ole Miss, taking over for Lane Kiffin. Got to coach him through the playoffs, but now you had to go through the entire offseason. You had transfers. How do you replace them? And Brom could really just put a stamp on the college football season and say Louisville has arrived, getting that win. I think Louisville has raw talent and the defensive front to really compete for the ACC championship this year. They are replacing 18 starters, though. So how will all those transfers gel? Will they gel in the way that Coach Brom is envisioning and maybe create a real push to win the ACC? Or will they have some learning woes? And will they have maybe an adjustment period of clicking and gelling together that's going to cause them some problems early on in the conference? We're going to find out. But we're going to know probably by the end of September how real this team is and what the potential is this team, because you think not only do they play Ole Miss in September, they also got to play SMU. Looking at that schedule, woo-wee. This is a good one. I like Louisville. I really believe in Coach Brom. I would never bet against Coach Brom. Let me know, Cardinals fans, how are we thinking this season? Pitt. And for Pitt, man, they got a stud, and they got a guy that is impossible not to believe in, a Tim Tebow type figure in Mason Heinshell. He's the centerpiece, the leader of this team, sophomore quarterback, after gaining all that experience as a true freshman last year. Now Narduzzi think about how much Narduzzi believes in him. He brought Heinshell to the ACC football kickoff show, demonstrating how much this coaching staff believes in him, how much confidence they have in him, and also showing how much leadership that Heinshell possesses to be a sophomore on this team that's expected to compete in the ACC, and your coaching staff is bringing you to that. Heinshell's a baller, man. Go listen to him speak. He's got an awesome, unique story, too. He wears number 6 to honor his late childhood best friend. His best friend, who was his center, Lucas Mason, was killed in 2020 after being hit by a car. And Lucas Mason was Heinshell's best friend since 3rd grade, and his center that played for him snapped him the ball. And just a story that you love. You love the type of confidence that Heinshell has. You love the way that the Pitt coaching staff and the Pitt team believes in this kid. And when you get those stories and you got a quarterback that everyone believes in, that's where magical things can happen. You think about last year, Diego Pavia. Was Vanderbilt really that good? Or did they really have a leader that inspired them and made them go out and do great things? I think Heinshell could be that type of guy that can inspire this Pitt team to do great things and maybe take them to some places that only Pitt fans are truly predicting this year. They got some other players, man. Long-time defensive coordinator Randy Bates retired at the end of last season, and he is a legend in the coaching game. A lot of defensive minds will go to Randy Bates to try to pick his mind, so they got to replace him. But Coach Narduzzi, man, who knows defense? Coach Narduzzi is up there with anyone in the ACC and knowing defense. He knows how to coach toughness in the trenches. He knows how to get a D-line charged up and ready to play. And he knows how to create nasty, just dominant, freakish type of beasts. And he's got a couple of dogs there, man. Jimmy Scott and Isaiah Neal are absolute freaks, man. Brian Lovelace, one of the top linebackers in the ACC, just a headbanger, just a smash your head through the wall type of linebacker. They got Alex Sanford, another baller on that defensive line. This linebacker unit is going to be really good. They didn't make Smallz as top 3 linebackers, but when I'm watching this linebacking team, and I don't know linebackers like Small, but damn, they got some headbangers on this linebacking team that I love. I love that style. I love the way they play. They got Nick James, who's another Sunday player at defensive tackle. And all of their games in September are at home. So they have an ability to set the tone for the season. Everybody's already believing in Heinshell. And then they get rolling. They can get rolling with all those home games. And then, winning can create more winning. And I could see it happen. But then the schedule, they have to win those home games, because then that schedule gets real, because once they get into ACC play, they have 5 ACC road games, including trips to Miami, including trips to Louisville and Virginia Tech, who's going to be resurrected under Coach Franklin. But even with that schedule, with those road trips, this is a serious dark horse candidate. This is one that if you wanted to have a sprinkle on them to make the college football playoff, I could see why. And I think if they can get the season started off the right way and how much they're believing in Heinschel, physical, Coach Narduzzi's defenses always are, I could see you buying into this Pitt team over in 7.5. I'm not touching it, but let me know what you think. Clemson. And I'll start out. If you watch the SEC show, if you watch the Big Ten show, and he will be back for our Big 12 show, Mr. TC Wolfcatcher, this is his ACC lock of the year, over 7.5 wins. So hopefully I can do justice enough to what TC Wolfcatcher would have mentioned, but this is his lock. It's over 7.5. This is his best bet of all of the ACC, all of the 1,000 damn ACC teams there are in this damn conference now, and we added Notre Dame. But Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers they're one of the most polarizing teams in all of college football, definitely in the ACC. They're always a headliner in ACC, and they're coming off an extremely disappointing 7-6 campaign last season. And even though the outside expectations have dipped, look at the over-under wins now, 7.5. Clemson still received 7 first-place votes, the second most behind runaway favorite Miami to win the conference in the ACC preseason poll. And at the ACC 2000 kickoff, Coach Dabo Swinney was blunt, telling reporters, "We stunk last year." And Swinney, as he's continued to refuse to use the transfer portal, he doesn't want to do it, not using the transfer portal, but now it's allowing those critics' voices to be heard extremely loud because they're not winning like they used to. So is Swinney refusing to enter this new college football landscape? Is it preventing Clemson from being all they can be? Because they definitely have money, and they definitely would be able to attract many players, just like the top university are. And them choosing not to do it, is that leading to them not winning games the way they should? Who knows? Or do they just shut everybody up this year and just go out there and win games? But you got to respect Coach Swinney staying true to his guns. He wants to develop his players. He's an old school coach. You got to respect that. I want to have guys that are going to be with me for 4 to 5 years. I want to have guys that we can build trust and loyalty. No matter who you are, you got to respect that. And I think all of us old school college football fans miss those days, man, when you have the same roster for 4 or 5 years. You get a class of 25 guys or so. You might get 3 or 4 to 5 that transfer because maybe they realize they're not at that level, or maybe injuries or whatever it is, maybe this homesick. But now you bring in a class of 25. Often, a lot of schools, you have 16 guys that end up leaving, or they play at a different school at least once in their time. And you're having to recruit, you're having to negotiate new contracts with them every year. So you have to respect that us against the world just mentality that Coach Swinney brings, and that philosophy that he has. And this year for Clemson, they have a quarterback battle, but I think it's sounding, as we're getting closer to kickoff, that it's going to be Christopher Vizzina that's going to be the guy. 5-star freshman Tate Reynolds has a lot of hype. Intriguing quarterback battle. It sounded like Vizzina is going to be the guy. Not a bad situation when you have a 5-star that you can turn to if Vizzina somehow struggles. Dabo Swinney brought back former offensive coordinator Chad Morris, is back calling plays, and that they had a lot of success together. Morris was the architect of Clemson's explosive, high-tempo offense and the identity that they had in 2011 through 2014 when they were absolutely rolling. Can this football reunion lead to football success for Clemson like we had in those eras? Can he fix this offense that's lost a lot of his swagger and honestly last year just looked like shit? And they got weapons, man. You gotta believe that Chad Morris loves what he has, especially in TJ Moore and Bryant Westco. They give Clemson one of the best wide receiver rooms in the entire country. And you have to believe Chad Morris when he's watching that film with guys like TJ Moore and Bryant Westco. He is just smiling from ear to ear, thinking about, oh my God, can you think about the plays and the explosiveness we're gonna have this season, especially when there's not many people believing in us. Ballers on that Clemson receiving. I think it's one of the best receiving units in the entire ACC. They got Ashton Hamilton, who's a lockdown corner, just a special type of cornerback. He's going to lock down probably everybody besides Malachi Toney, honestly, in the ACC. The leaders of the top secondaries in the ACC. They have Jerome Carter, a baller at safety, and Sammy Brown. Sammy Brown, and you look at this beautiful guy. Look at that beautiful mullet. That's up there, man. That's up there with some of the top mullets that you can say. I'm thinking about that Golick, what was his name? Bob Golick, and the mullet he had in Saved by the Bell, the college years. If you go look up that mullet, that was a special mullet. I'm thinking about the Boz had a special mullet, but look at that Sammy Brown mullet. That's got to be a top 3 to 5. Let me know the best mullets in the college football game right now, and I bet you Sammy Brown is right up there. This year they open up on the road against LSU, against the Lane Train, so you know that's going to be a big ass game. We're excited about that one. Excited to see that kickoff there. So, I mean, you open up with a game like that, another one of the top games. You got to love those bangers to start off the college football season. You get Clemson, LSU. I think we're going to get a lot of those questions we have with Coach Sweeney and what that Chad Morris reunion is going to be like, what that offense can do. We're going to learn a lot about Vizina right away. We're going to learn about Lane Train and all the expectations they have LSU. What a great game. I'm excited for that. When I look at the schedule, I mean, you look at Wolfcatcher's lock of the year, over 7.5 wins on this. Well, you know they're going to win at Georgia Southern. Probably got to like their chances at home against North Carolina. You think they go out to Cal, probably take care of business. Then you get Miami at home. You get a couple gimme games. You got Virginia Tech. You see that there. I think, man, depending on how the season goes with Vizina, it could come down to that South Carolina game at the end of the season, which could be a banger. But you open up with a win at LSU, all of those people with the over 7.5 ticket like TC Wolfcatcher, you're going to be really liking your odds. Let me know, Clemson Tigers, what you're thinking. I'm not making a bet on this, but I know I would never bet against Coach Sweeney, and I love his philosophy. I'll be rooting for Clemson. I'll be rooting for that mullet with Sammy Brown. What a damn mullet that is. Oh, my God, one of the best mullets in the game. I do want to hear. Let me know about the best mullets. I just kind of cut mine off a little bit, man. I feel like I lost some of my magic powers. I couldn't take it all the way off. So I have kind of this tradition where every year I have a different haircut. And I've been teaching now 15 years, and I think I probably have at least 13 different haircuts in those yearbook photos. So if kids go back and look at it, they're like, damn, Moreno changes it up. Also, so people don't recognize me, so I don't have to have the shitty small talk with so many people. I switch up my identity often. And this year I had the mullet growing all the way, the World Cup mullet out. I just cut it off, but I couldn't quite take it all the way off. So you can see it's kind of the short mullet if you see it now. But it is what it is, man. Virginia and the Cavaliers. And an interesting thing about the Cavaliers, Virginia, that logo that you see on the screen, that beautiful logo. I grew up with a dude named Deaf Jeff. And if you grew up in Kearney, you knew this guy. And Deaf Jeff was just he couldn't hear, but man, if you were ever playing catch, he would stop and play catch. If you're at a gas station, he'd come and do a little dance move, maybe a little couple power pelvic thrusts just to kind of make it look weird. So you'd see he just loved to make you smile. I remember that my buddy Smallz one time that I think it sounds like he is going to be joining the show here. Going to get our NFL guy at the show here for a little bit towards the end of the episode, but he knows all about Deaf Jeff. Big time weed smoker, Deaf. He liked to ride. He would do everything to make you laugh. He'd ride his bike full speed into a pickup truck that was parked. Like I said, he would go in and start doing Michael Jackson type of dance moves with the gas station worker. We became cool with him. And then anytime he rode his bike, literally like the Tour de Tijuana, like Lance Armstrong, this dude would ride his bike all over Kearney. He's burning 10,000 calories a day, freaking riding his bike everywhere. I never spoke sign language, but somehow we could communicate because he spoke the same language, a weirdo, unique figure in Kearney, Nebraska. If you knew this guy, Deaf Jeff, looks exactly like this old school Virginia logo. No doubt about it. And Virginia, what a season last year they had. Man, just a great season. Tony Elliott, Virginia it paid off for them believing in Coach Elliott and sticking with him and not following suit like a lot of teams do in this day and age where a coach doesn't pan out for 2 or 3 years and you move on and try something else. They've stuck with him and it paid off ultimately. And they have named Bo Pribula, the Missouri and Penn State transfer. He is going to be the undisputed quarterback QB1 in Virginia, and he has some shoes to fill to fill. And at the ACC kickoff, Coach Elliott's putting all his faith in Bo Pribula, and hopefully it pays off because this Virginia Cavaliers story was awesome last year. The Wolfcatcher type of dual threat quarterback. And at Missouri last season, he threw for 1,900 yards and he almost ran for 300. So he has that dual threat ability. And Coach Elliott obviously has proven that he knows how to coach the offensive line, and this year is going to be no different. In this offensive line group, they have 163 starts between their returning offensive line members and led by monster, just beast of a man, Mikhail Boley. And on defense, Cam Robinson, one of my favorite linebackers in the ACC. Go turn on some Cam Robinson film and just enjoy it. Okay, put on some of your favorite music and put on some Cam Robinson highlights, and holy shit, this dude is a baller. To me, if you need a quarterback spy, if you need a QB spy with a mobile dual threat quarterback, he might be the best in the country at that. Okay, he can just sit in that pocket, he makes good reads, and if you're going to try to scramble outside the pocket or step up in the pocket, if Cam Robinson's spying you, it's going to be a long-ass day for you. You're going to have to make those quick reads and throw the ball down the field. He is not going to allow you to scramble. He might be, honestly, top 5 linebacker for me. I love his film. Sandy Brown has the best mullet, but Cam Robinson is, special player, and a lot of people probably don't know about him. Be the guy at the parties that knows about Cam Robinson. Turn some Cam Robinson film on at a party and be like the college football version of John Gruden. Zion Wilson, who is on that defensive line, that's another beast. He's going to make life easier for all Virginia fans because he's going to really clog the holes there. They do lose a 1,000-yard rusher, and they lose their starting quarterback, and they lose their top 4 wide receivers. So they do have to replace all that firepower. How are they going to do it? It's going to be a unique situation. Virginia is just one of those teams, man. Week 3, they're going to take on Norfolk State against Michael Vick. And Michael Vick, one of my favorite players all time. Another great documentary. Kicking off, you're going to be watching Norfolk State football this year because they have Michael Vick. And hopefully I'm wishing him all the success because he's one of my favorite NFL players. When he was at Virginia Tech, even that was the prime of the Huskers being for real, the real Huskers. But Michael Vick just made it impossible to not root for Virginia Tech and the story that he had, all the swagger he had, then to the dog fighting. Crazy situation. We watched Norfolk State, but that's who they open up with. They got North Carolina State, and then they get Norfolk State. It's going to be a nice setup for them. They avoid Miami, Clemson, and Louisville, and they are going to be a contender. When you avoid all those teams, let me double check. Yeah, no Miami, no Clemson. Wow, what a schedule. No Louisville. They're going to be a favorite. I know that TC Wolfcatcher and Smallz, who will be joining the show here in a few minutes, they are huge Virginia fans. They were actually out there in Charlottesville August 11th, the Unite the Right. It's a lot misunderstood by some. Believe whatever you want, political views of sides. But I know TC Wolfcatcher and Smallz were out there with the tiki torches, and they were peacefully protesting out there. They weren't a part of any of the craziness. So Def Jeff, tiki torches, Smallz, TC Wolfcatcher, lots of fans out there for Virginia and Charlottesville. Let us know what you're thinking. I'm not touching this over-under bet. It's tough. They replace all that firepower. It's tough to see this season can go any way, but I'm not betting against Tony Elliott. That's for damn sure. North Carolina State with an absolute legend at coach, Dave Doran, just a staple of North Carolina State Wolfpack football. He just literally represents a baseline of stability. Okay, in a conference that always has so much turnover, Dave Doran's always there. You can count on him to be on the sideline year after year for North Carolina State, entering his 14th season in Raleigh, and he has built a culture of consistency at a place that is not easy to win. They are one of only 2 teams in the entire league that are returning a quarterback that is a 3-year starter, and they got a special one in C.J. Bailey. Bailey's entering his junior year with absolute complete command of the offense, expanded leadership abilities in the huddle, an absolute loyalty to the program that a lot of people don't have, that he could probably teach lessons on loyalty in this day and age. And he is the definition of a high floor player that could catalyze a true breakout season and push for all ACC honors and have North Carolina State in true contention, because there's not a lot of think about there's quarterbacks that are just as talented as him, but not that know this offense, that have been doing it, that's been hearing the same voices, that know the crowd. He's going to be everything. He's going to know this ACC landscape like the back of his hand. Absolute baller. And he has Spike Soul. Great name, Spike Soul. Dope ass name, great center. You got to love having that type of experience in front of you. It probably provides even more confidence. Soul's father, Isaac, played for the Cleveland Browns. His cousin, Vinny Curry, played for the Philadelphia Eagles. His cousin, George Coombe, played for the Green Bay Packers. His cousin, Earl Campbell, played running back for the Houston Oilers. And his cousin, Earl and Dexter Heyman, played for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Saints. So think about that family. Think about the family that he comes from, and he's a baller. You got to think that makes CJ Bailey feel much more comfortable when you have that type of athlete with that type of pedigree of a family blocking for you in front of you. But North Carolina State do have some major red flags, okay? Their defensive front. They must replace their entire starting front six from last season, and that's not easy. I mean, this day and age, it's easier because you go to the portal and you can get some dudes that are proven, but you don't know how they're going to gel. You don't know how it's going to go in your scheme. So replacing all that, those are some major question marks. You got to like what you have coming back on offense, but could be signs for concern of what's going to be on defense. They do have Harvey Dyson, who's a very good player on the defensive line. They got Popo Aguirre, who's a hard hitter, physical ass linebacker. They got Brian Nelson at cornerback, which is going to make life easier to try to generate stops on the defensive end. CJ Bailey's an absolute stud. I love him. I love him staying there. I love his loyalty to the program. Dave Doran, I love his consistency staying there at North Carolina State, 14 seasons, but losing 9 players on the defensive line, losing a running back like Hollywood Smothers. Those losses are massive. Over under 7 wins, that's tough, man. They were originally scheduled to open up with Virginia in a matchup in Rio de Janeiro, and the game got moved. It was scheduled, logistical concerns. Now both teams pocket some money. The Brazilian fans don't get to see a showdown between North Carolina State and Virginia. I'm sure they would have loved that, following up the World Cup with all that World Cup action with getting North Carolina State Wolfpack versus Virginia Cavalier football. But it was moved back to Charlottesville. I'm sure that'll make TC Wolfcatcher and Kyle Small happy. Okay, and the Wolfpack are now going to open the year on Thursday, August 29th at Virginia, avoiding the massive jet lag that they would have had from traveling to South America and gaining a $1.5 million payout. I don't know. Losing all those weapons on defense, I don't know. This will be a tough one. We'll see how it goes. I think there's definitely 8 winnable games on their schedule for sure that I'm looking at. It's not one that I want to get invested in. It's not one that I'm heavily favored in, but I know that I'm going to be rooting for CJ Bailey all season. There's no doubt about it. Virginia Tech, enter the Sandman, one of the best entrances in all of college football. They had Michael Vick at quarterback back in the day when I was growing up. That made me a fan. My middle school years made me always enjoy Virginia Tech football, and it's been a bummer that they've been down the last few years. But they bring in James Franklin, who knows how to win. Dude won at Vanderbilt. He won at Penn State. Penn State didn't think he won enough. Get him out of there. Now it's Virginia Tech's blessing, and this is a boom or bust team for sure. I can see a scenario where James Franklin's going to win at Virginia Tech. There is no doubt about it. It's just the question, how long is it going to take him to win? Is he going to be able to do it in year one? The hiring of James Franklin is probably one of the biggest things that's happened in Virginia Tech football in a long ass time. And after a 3-9 season, this team deserves it. Their program they made a splash hire. What a hire he is. I'm excited to see him. There was kind of talks with Matt Rule when he was it looked like Nebraska might be back for a little bit earlier in the season. There was little rumors flying around that Rule could potentially be the guy going to Penn State. And I think him losing more and more just consistently top 25 games, Penn State maybe moved on from that idea. But there were scenarios where, well, if Rule goes there, Nebraska fans probably wouldn't mind that switch because we'll take a guy in James Franklin that knows how to win 9 to 10 games every year. He will do that at Virginia Tech. He will be one of the consistent threats in the ACC that the powerhouse like Miami and SMU and Clemson and looks like Louisville is going to slide in there, and we'll see what Virginia can do and Duke can do. Virginia Tech is going to be right in that conversation. And this is Franklin's first year back in the ACC. He's hired to restore a once proud program that has not won 10 games in over a decade. It's been so damn long, but Franklin knows how to win. He brings his own guy over from Happy Valley and sophomore quarterback Ethan Grunkmeyer, and Grunkmeyer threw for 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns last year. But you think about, you want to see what the potential of Grunkmeyer is. All you got to do is look to that Clemson tape last year, and against Clemson in the Pinstripe Bowl, threw for 260 yards and 2 touchdowns. And James Franklin seems excited about what the possibility is of Grunkmeyer. I think he's a baller. They got Marcellus Hawkins, who's an absolute monster at running back, one of the most physical type running backs in the ACC. And Franklin always has great running backs. He always produces great running backs. He knows how to block, create the blocking schemes, and create holes and open up holes for the running backs, and how to teach running backs how to hit that hole. And I think Marcellus Hawkins this year, if you're in a college football fantasy league, he could be the steal. He could be the sleeper that wins your league. Draft Marcellus Hawkins. Don't tell many people, if you're listening to the show, keep that on the hush hush so you can win those college fantasy leagues, those DraftKings leagues. Get them. They got Quishon Brown, electric wide receiver. They got Luke Reynolds, who's a baller at tight end. And I think another fascinating move for this season, Franklin retained former Hokies head coach Brent Pry. So they got their former coach is sticking around to be the defensive coordinator. And sometimes situation, it doesn't work out as a head coach, but maybe as a defensive coordinator, it works out. You got to like that ability from Coach Franklin to have some consistency with the program and have a defensive mind like Brent Pry. I'm sure Hokies fans are very excited about that. They do bring in a ton of transfers, including a shitload from Penn State. But man, enter the Sandman opening night versus VMI with Franklin coming out with them, with Hokies just feeling it again. That's going to be a great game. For their first meeting, Virginia Tech, VMI, their first meeting since 1984, but they do have a rich history of playing against each other. And I think the vibes are very high for VaTech. That's going to be one of those that, it's going to be a college football sickos that are going to be watching that shit, VMI, VaTech. But I want to see Enter the Sandman, and I want to see James Franklin lead them out. I guarantee you Virginia Tech is going to be back. Let me know in the comments how quickly you think it's going to happen. This year, man, they got road games at Clemson. They got to go to SMU. They got Miami on the schedule. They at Miami, too. Damn. Man, that is a lot for a first-year coach. I think eighth is the preseason media pick. I think that's probably the right spot. They have top 4 talent, but damn, that's a tough-ass schedule. I think Coach Franklin, he knows how to win. He knows how to manage all the dynamics that go into the ACC and what it takes to kind of build up confidence. I think that if the Penn State quarterback transfer, Ethan Grunkmeyer, can really get it going and stabilize the passing game, the run game is going to be legit. I think this could be a team that could smash this over 6.5 wins. I've talked myself into it. I'm trusting James Franklin. All the dude does is win. I see 7 wins. They're going to open up win. I see them winning at Maryland. I could see them. When I see them winning at Boston College, that one could go either way. Worst case scenario, it's 4-1 to start the season. Go take care of business at Cal. You get Georgia Tech at home. That's a tough stretch right there. Then you get Stanford at home, win, end the season, Virginia. I see this team with 7 or 8 wins. Give me that over, lock, put it on my card. Virginia Tech, Hokies football. I'm believing in Coach Franklin. I'm believing in Marcellus Hawkins for sure. Cal, the Golden Bears. And then you got to love Cal, a team that, a school that just absolutely loves to preach about saving the environment. And then they join a conference where they have to fly 100 men all over the country every single week, fly multiple athletes all over the country to playing games on your campus is close to the Pacific Ocean. You got to fly over and play all these games in volleyball and soccer and basketball and football and wrestling, all the way over in the Atlantic Ocean. So you got to appreciate that preaching and that level of confidence there to do so. And Cal's in a unique situation this year, man. After firing longtime coach Justin Wilcox following the loss to Stanford last season in that rivalry match, Cal went big game hunting and hired Oregon defensive coordinator Tosh Lupoi to come in as their new head coach. And he spent years under Nick Saban out at Alabama. He won 2 national championships, and he was that defensive architect. So he's coached tons of NFL talent. He knows what NFL talent should look like, and he hopes to bring that defensive swagger and energy over to Berkeley, which Cal Berkeley, man, one of the best stadiums in the country, one of my favorite. I would have it my top 5 to 10 stadiums, no doubt about it. And that's a show idea. I might have just created a new show idea, top 5 to 10 stadiums. I love the Sun Bowl out there. I talked about that in the last episode, and I love the stadium out there at Berkeley. And Lupoi hasn't even coached a single regular season game yet, but he already has Cal tracking towards a top 25 recruiting class, and he just pulled in a massive department, $88 million investment into the football program. The energy in Berkeley has completely changed. People are believing in Coach Lupoi. He's got an absolute stud in quarterback that I watched him play a few times last year. That's a tough name to say, man. It's a tough name to say. Saga Putule. Tough name for me to say. A stud at quarterback. He could have landed a lot of other places. He could have went anywhere in the country. He chose to stay and ball for Coach Lupoi. Last season, he threw for 3,400 yards as a true freshman. Eye-popping numbers there. Widely regarded as one of the most physically gifted young quarterbacks in the entire country. He is going to operate this high-passing offense, and he has vertical weapons to throw the ball to, like Ian Strong and Chase Hendricks, who are 2 damn good receivers. They both have ability to make all the plays. They're both all ACC caliber players. And Coach Lupoi also is going to bring over sophomore running back Aiden Muhammad. He brought Aiden Muhammad to Charlotte for media days. So you know the type of confidence and the type of season that he believes Muhammad's going to be. I think this really signals what type of offense and what they expect. They got a baller at quarterback, but they expect big things out of Adam Muhammad, see a lot of potential in him. They got another baller at safety. You know, I love watching safeties. Kingston Lopa. All types of analysts and media personalities have called him an absolute unicorn on the defensive side with his size and ability and his coverage capabilities. And I'm looking at their schedule, open it up with UCLA, which also has a new coach. You get that awesome you used to get that rivalry every single year. And now that we switch all these conferences and everybody's everywhere, you don't get these matchups that we should see. 2 new coaches. I think that could set the tone. Bob Chesney out there at UCLA, and you got Coach Lupoi here. I'm excited for that matchup and excited to see what Cal can do. I think it's interesting that Vegas is predicting them at 6 wins, over under 6 wins. We'll see what that looks like. And if you're just ranking teams by quarterback play, man, Cal would be second or third in this conference. Okay, but we're going to see what it looks like with the full team and what Coach Lupoi can do in the first season. I'm going to stay away. Let me see what Coach Lupoi is going to do. I want Cal to be good. It's been a while since we've seen Cal consistently good. You know, Coach Wilcox would typically have them 6 to 7 to 8. They were never a true contender in the ACC. We'll be interested to see what Coach Lupoi does. He's done a shitload of winning as a defensive coordinator. What does it look like as the main man now? Rooting for you out there. Let us know, Cal fans, what you're thinking this season. Let us know how to pronounce the damn quarterback's name. So it'd be Yaren Kuve Saga Pulotele. Say that 5 times fast, but absolute baller. Florida State. Shout out my guy, the avid listener, fan of Moreno World, Justin Ariano, who's in Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, but he's a huge Florida State Seminoles fan. Shout out him. I know he's listening. I want to hear what he has to think about Florida State football this year. They're coming off back-to-back losing seasons. Coach Norvell may be the hottest ass. We've been talking about a lot of hot asses and on the Moreno World preview show. And we're not talking about hot asses like some of you sex addicts that also listen to Short Thinking. We're talking about coaches that are about to have their ass fired, and Coach Norvell's ass is probably the hottest in the entire country. For the 3rd consecutive season, Norvell is going to have to start a transfer at quarterback, and this one might be his last. And they officially named Auburn and Stanford, former Stanford quarterback Ashton Daniels, the starter. He is an athlete. He has 1,300 career rushing yards. They have dogs at running back. They do have absolute dogs at running back that could make life easy for Ashton Daniels. If they can commit to the run game and if they can block consistently and the defense can get stops and they can manage the clock like that, you could see a world where maybe that could happen and Florida State could maybe get it rolling. They do have a Blitnikoff candidate in Deuce Robinson. Absolute stud wide receiver, 1,000-yard receiver, absolute baller, caught 56 passes for over 1,000 yards last year, becoming Florida State's first 1,000-yard receiver since 2019. They got Danzy is also a freak at wide receiver. Landon Thomas, who's back from injury. He was the Phil Steele #1 ranked tight end in the country. So there's lots of weapons for Ashton Daniels to throw it to. Can he throw the ball? They're going to have to replace multiple starters on that offensive line. You don't like that. How are they going to protect for Daniels? How are they going to open the holes? Lean on that running game, Florida State, man, because you got Dogs a receiver. Throw as often as you can to Deuce Robinson. Let Landon Thomas use his ability, make some plays. On defense, man, Jabril Rawls is the dog at cornerback. That is an NFL player. Florida State has a shitload of talent. They just haven't been able to win. It just seems hasn't worked out for Coach Norvell there. You could see a world where the wheels fall off. How many wins does Norvell have to keep his job? Is it 7? I mean, if you win 7 games, Florida State, is that good enough? I don't see it. To me, all signs are pointing towards just I don't think that Coach Norvell is going to be the coach at Florida State next year. And Florida State, you look at that schedule, and I'm looking at some of these polls. ESPN Power Index calls this the hardest strength of schedule in the ACC. They do have Central Arkansas Bears, so paying $500,000 to play Central Arkansas. So there is that. So they're paying $500K to play Central Arkansas Bears. That should be a win. But you know why? The reason they did that, that's Coach Norvell's alma mater. So shout out for him for doing that. His ass might be coaching there next year. So think about that power move. That's playing chess right there, not checkers. Like he might be coaching them and he's setting them up financially. I don't know. Let me know how you feel in Florida State. Another proud program. It's been a long ass time since those Bobby Bowden Florida State teams that were competing for national championships every year. I sympathize as a Husker fan. I sympathize with you. I know how it feels. I know what it feels like, and it's tough because you're going to be invested. You're going to be watching every Saturday no matter what, no matter how painful it is. But it is what it is. I'm with you, Florida State. Let me know in the comments how you're feeling. How do you get through? What type of whiskey? What type of beer? How many beers does it take to get through a Saturday? How shitty does it feel going to work on a Monday after another loss? I don't know. Who do you go to? Who's the coach you're excited about? Or does Norvell just shock the whole damn world and get Florida State back this year and they're winning? We'll find out. Georgia Tech. And Georgia Tech now has life without Hayes King. In 2023, King was one of the 2 quarterbacks to have 2,700 yards and 600 rushing yards. The other one, Jaden Daniels. You know the type of baller that Hayes King was. And now they bring in national champion Indiana Hoosier transfer, the backup quarterback, the brother of #1 overall pick, Fernando Mendoza. Alberto Mendoza is bringing his talents to Atlanta, and he's replacing an absolute legend. But he was coached by Kurt Cignetti. Interesting, Cignetti, they didn't buy into him. So what does that mean? What does that foreshadow for what it's going to be at Georgia Tech? Will he have success? Will he prove people wrong? But if anyone can get him playing up to a high level, Chris Winkie, and that's who's going to be coaching Mendoza. You got Chris Winkie coaching you. They have a dominant run game always. Georgia Tech is always going to have a dominant run game. They brought in Michigan transfer running back Justice Haynes, who is a stud, and they're also returning Malachi Hosley. They got an elite linebacker EJ Lightsey, who Smallz has as the #4 ranked linebacker prospect in the ACC. They got Noah Carter, an Alabama transfer at defensive end. You got to like a lot of the pieces that Georgia Tech has. And TC Wolfcatcher, he gave me some of the notes to mention. Here's his mention from TC Wolfcatcher. Aiden Burr, one of the top kickers in the entire country from Kenningdale, Texas. He already has his master's and is arguably probably the best Yellow Jacket kicker in Yellow Jacket history. Next time you're in Kenningdale, Texas, swing into Nearly Famous Burgers and Wings. Make sure you grab a burger and make sure you grab a chili cheese dog. And I'm letting you know right now, those are some of the best burgers and best chili cheese dogs in all of Texas. Nearly famous burgers and wings in Kenningdale, Texas, home of the best kicker in Yellow Jackets history, Aiden Burr. Let them know Moreno World sent you. And Coach Key, you always got to believe in Coach Key. 7-1 in the ACC versus ranked teams. So you know that they're going to beat somebody. They're going to pull off an upset or two. They're going to beat someone that they shouldn't. So when I'm getting 6 wins with a coach, all you have to do is make a bowl. And Coach Key, that's all he has to do. And I for sure, without a doubt, see 4 slam dunks, 5 slam dunks. I think that they can win another one. It wouldn't be shocking if they could win that first one at Colorado. I don't think it would be completely shocking if they could steal one between the Virginia Tech Pitt. You wouldn't completely rule that out 100%. Give me the over 6 wins. Put it on my card. I'm believing in Coach Key. I'm going to believe in Alberto Mendoza. I saw a lot of good things from Justice Haynes when he was at Michigan. Look at some of his breakout runs. I like that bet. Give me the over 6 wins. That's my third bet on this ACC card. Wake Forest. And despite finishing an impressive 9-4 last season under first-year coach Jake Dickert, which included a thrilling Duke Mayo Bowl victory over Mississippi State, the ACC media is completely sleeping on them, completely burying them towards the bottom, picking them 13th in the preseason poll. Damon Deacon's getting absolutely no love. Coach Dickert did a great job, man. What a job. I don't think anyone predicted him to have that type of season in year one. He's having pool parties for his team. His team bondings are absolute legendary. He's got other coaches taking tips on how to do team bonding ideas. So they're getting slept on a lot because they do lose a shitload of talent. So everything that he had now, you're going to have to replace a lot of pieces. You think about this is a team that was a controversial late call, a referee call away from playing in the ACC championship game last year. That's how good of a season they had in a crazy year, man. You think about the top team in the ACC last year, Duke and Virginia, and you have Wake Forest that was right there. Crazy. We're not talking about basketball. We're talking about football. I think they do get a massive upgrade at quarterback, getting Gio Lopez over from North Carolina, took him away from Bill Belichick. He wanted out. Who knows that situation? But I think Lopez has massive upside. He's already has some built-in chemistry with offensive coordinator Rob Ezel. That was his former coach at South Alabama, baller at South Alabama, absolute stud there. So he's not just learning the playbook. The reports out of all the ACC kickoff at the ACC kickoff series is that he's already teaching the transfers, the system. He knows the system in and out. Dickert has retained some heavy hitters on defense. Watch out for edge rusher Langston Hardy. He is a baller on defensive end. I think he's a Sunday player. They got Devon Patterson, who is another Sunday player at safety. Carlos Hernandez, one of the best punt returners in the ACC. They're going to need his ass to turn into Devin Hester if they want a shot at the ACC this year. Wake looks like they're going to be a dog. If you look at their schedule, it looks like they're going to be a dog in all 6 road games. They're going to be a dog against Miami. So they're going to need to pull off an upset or two to become bowl eligible this season. I don't know if I buy into the 13th place or the media poll, like put them at the basement. But with this tough schedule, you can see it. I think the coaching staff is really good. I mean, they showed what they're capable of in year one. They got an upgraded quarterback situation in Gio Lopez. They got a good defense. They got a really good defense returning with some good players. I think they're another, and it's tough because I don't want to just be making bets on every team, and it's like I'm buying into every ACC team. But if you like them to make a bowl, I don't hate that. I can't be making a bet on every one, but guarantee you I won't bet the under. But I could see a world where I bet on the over and buy into Coach Dickert, buy into Lopez, definitely buying into Carlos Hernandez, definitely buying into Langston Hardy at defensive end and Devon Patterson at safety, no doubt about it. Duke. And Manny Diaz, what a season he has, man. He pulled off the absolute unthinkable last season, guiding the Blue Devils to their first ACC championship since 1962, when the Nebraska Cornhuskers sellout streak began. Shout out my dad, Tony Marino, who was born on the day that the sellout streak began in 1962. And yet, even after that historic season, and it's due to the offseason roster losses that they had, this team is picked towards the bottom. And it's a crazy thing. You think about defending champs, and now you're sitting 10th in the preseason poll. Your over-under season wins projection is 5.5. And they didn't just lose their star quarterback. They lost him to a conference rival at the last second. Darian Mensah, who is the MVP of the ACC championship game, the orchestrator and creator that brought so much joy to all Blue Devils football fans, maybe some joy that Blue Devils football fans have never seen. And they had all the optimism thinking, oh, we're going to get Mensah again. Nope, he's leaving, and he's leaving to an ACC rival and now the ACC favorites. And he's in Miami, and you got to think they already have that November 14th game. It's absolutely circled. That's going to be a must. You got Mensah. You wish that game was at Duke there. You wish you could kind of flex that game to see what that looked like. You feel bad. You kind of wish you would have stuck it out, but you understand Duke's going to spend all that money. They probably have the best NIL package consistently for basketball, so they're going to lose out on some football talents in Miami that's heavily invested in football. You can see why. Duke's going to have to watch the player that led them to a championship ring potentially steal their crown this year. That's a tough situation, man. But they do bring in San Jose State transfer Walker Egat. He's expected to take over at quarterback. He brings in a lot of veteran experience. He has over 5,500 career passing yards. Can he execute the system? You know, he's obviously not going to be as dynamic as Mensah was, but can he be capable enough to get them to a bowl? Because that seems like what the expectations are now. They got Nate Shepherd at running back. He could be the absolute breakout player of the ACC this season. I think if Duke's smart, they're going to give the ball to Nate Shepherd a lot and watch him do crazy things and slowly get Egat acclimated to ACC football, heavily lean on Nate Shepherd, and I think make life easier. Cade Reynoldsson, who's one of the best punters in the ACC from Gold Coast, Australia. I know that Australians love me. They were talking all kinds of shit about my World Cup content, but I still love you, Australia. I love Crocodile Dundee, and I look Cade Reynoldsson, baller at punter from Gold Coast. They lose. They lost everyone, man. They lost so many players, but I think they're getting way too much disrespect. What Manny Diaz did at Duke last year, I think deserves credit and deserves more better prediction than 5.5 wins. These are the ACC champions, and this team deserves respect. So I think it's a discredit seeing that over under 5.5 wins. How bad would you like to see Duke? And I'm sorry, Miami fans, if I got Miami fans listen, how awesome would it be if Duke could win that match and maybe spoil something for Miami? That would be a special scene there. You can't bet against, after ACC championship, you cannot take the under wins Duke this year. I can't be making plays on every team, but it's like crazy because I can literally see almost every ACC team winning over that. ACC is not getting a lot of credit, but you see there's 3 wins for sure. And then it's like, you're going to have to probably steal one, man. Can you get that game? Can you for sure get that game? If you can for sure get North Carolina and Stanford at home, that's going to get you to 5. And then it's like, you just got to win one of those other ones. Can you get that one November 7th against North Carolina State? Can you steal one at Georgia Tech? Can you steal one at Wake Forest? I definitely could easily be talked into the over bets for sure. North Carolina. And what a story. The Bill Belichick college football soap opera never ends. Year one for one of the best NFL coaches in NFL history in Chappell Hill was a complete train wreck. I didn't see it going that way. It's tough for me to bet against just an absolute legend like him. And now heading into 2026, the media has pretty much completely given up on Bill Belichick. Just burying them. They're picked 15th in the ACC preseason poll. Just a sad sight to see for one of the best coaches in my lifetime, one of my favorite coaches ever, veteran and longtime Bill Belichick right-hand man was just placed on administrative leave following HR complaints. You got Belichick's young-ass girlfriend calling plays out there. It just looks like a crazy situation, man. He was trying to run an NFL program, and it's getting a little chaotic there. It seems like it's imploding right in front of our eyes between Lombardi's exit and the rumors of an investigation that are looming from the College Sports Commission. $30 million buyout tied out to Belichick through 2027. To me, it's creating just a pure cinema type atmosphere that you have to watch. But I'm rooting for North Carolina. I love Bill Belichick, and it's one of those things now. Everybody's talking shit on him. Everybody's hating on him. Bill Belichick, go prove everyone wrong, man. Go prove all the doubters wrong. Shut everybody's ass up. Let's get North Carolina football rolling. Let's get Tar Heels football playing like those Julius Peppers days. And I mean, you have nowhere to go but up. Last year's offense was an absolute disaster, ranked 118th nationally in scoring. Just an absolute shit show. And what do they do when it's a shit show? You bring in Bobby Petrino, one of my favorite Halloween costumes ever. And you think about the ultimate redemption story, fired after having an affair, had to get a national press conference in a neck brace with your face all scratched after a motorcycle accident when you were caught having an affair with an employee, have to resign. And then 10 years later, you get that same job back again. That is the ultimate level of resiliency, a resilient story for the ages that somebody should be making a movie about. Bringing Bill Belichick, bringing all these questionable characters in. Who's next? Art Briles. Are they going to bring him in from the Lone Star Conference? I know Art Briles is coaching at Eastern New Mexico this year. Are they bringing him in next? Who knows? Belichick's bringing in 60 new players this off season, following 70 players that he brought in last year. So, I mean, you got to appreciate Belichick. He's trying everything he can. I think their race is completely wide open at quarterback. Is it going to be the Maryland/Wisconsin transfer Billy Edwards? I think he's the favorite. They got Texas A&M transfer Miles O'Neill that's going to compete. They got Newkirk, who's been there. They got a freshman named Travis Burgess. So who's going to be the quarterback? Who's going to make plays? It doesn't seem like maybe they might not be tied to one. So if one's not shining, he'll bring someone else in. They do got Jordan Shipp, who's one of the best wide receivers in the ACC. They got a baller, Abu Jaud on the defensive line. That is a Sunday player who's getting some first-round draft pick mentions out there by some of the draft analysts out there. We're going to see him playing on Sundays for sure. Hopefully he's the type of leader to inspire that defense to get this damn team to a bowl game and shut some of those haters up. They get a week 0 showdown in Dublin, Ireland, home of Conor McGregor, one of my favorite UFC fighters. That's going to be a banger to open up. I got two fantasy football drafts, and then we're going to get that TCU North Carolina game. What a treat for us in week 0. And this is looking like one of the most fascinating train wrecks in all of college football. It seems like a prime spot for gamblers to hammer the unders. It just seems like everything's pointing that way. But year 2 with one of the best coaches in the history of the game, I cannot bet on the under, and I'm going to be rooting all season for Belichick. And since I'm rooting for him, it's one of those that I probably will end up throwing a sprinkle on it because, shit, I'm going to be rooting for Bill Belichick. Let me know, Carolina fans, what are you thinking? What are we thinking about? I did want to show, if you haven't had a chance to watch the Aaron Hernandez show on FX, it is a treat. But I think Bill Belichick, the actor who played Bill Belichick in this Aaron Hernandez show, should have won an Oscar for his ability to really create and capture the spirit of Bill Belichick. And I wanted to show a clip for it just so you can get an idea. This is what they said Bill Belichick would do pre-games or pre-practices, Bill Belichick, and I think he captures it perfectly. Song for the broken hearted. That is Bill Belichick. That is what it's probably like working with him at North Carolina. Let's go, Bill. Let's go, Tar Heels. Let's get back, baby. Syracuse. Coach Fran Brown went 10-3 in year 1. Everyone was taking notice. Everyone was high on Syracuse. You had top recruits wanting to go there. Everyone was buying in. He was one of the hottest names in the game. Then year 2 happened and they went 3-9 and the team completely quit on them and they lost 70-7 to Notre Dame. They ended the season losing 34-12 to a shitty Boston College team. And Fran Brown says he's learned his lesson the hard way. He got asked at the ACC kickoff what was his biggest takeaway from last season, and he instantly said having backup quarterbacks. He knows how important that quarterback position. They lost their quarterback last year, and man, there's no way anyone involved in Syracuse football, including Coach Fran Brown, that could have envisioned it falling off and going that poorly. And they lost Stephen Gelly to a terrible Achilles injury. Showed teams all over the country what can happen if you don't have a capable backup that's comfortable enough to step in. But now you get Gelly to make his return. He's ready to go again. He's going to be the starter. But just in case something happens this year, they completely loaded the roster with high-profile transfers, including Malachi Nelson, the former 5-star prospect from Boise State. They got Amari Odom and Danny Loader to come in. So they go from zero depth to having one of the deepest quarterback rooms in the entire country. So that is something to watch for. There's no way Syracuse is going to be worse than that. They got ballers on defense. They got some of my favorite players on defense for sure. Cornerback Chris Peel. He was just named preseason ACC all-first team. He's a projected first-round NFL pick, no doubt about it. He pairs perfectly with sophomore sensation Demetrius Samuels Jr. to have one of the best cornerback duos in the nation, definitely one of the top cornerback duos in the ACC. And they got my favorite linebacking unit in the ACC, Chris Diapolonia, and they got Antoine Delassares. Special linebackers. Two of my favorite hard-hitting ass physical linebackers, true smashers. Delaria is the Canadian star linebacker. Okay, he is a beast. I want to show you his little video so you can see the type of aura that he has. Look at this baller here. Look at this shit. So this freaking freak, this freak of nature is the star linebacker for Syracuse.
Sean Dorsell is here with a Q's football edition of Walking and Talking. We've got number 5, the linebacker, Antoine Delorier. Anton, you ready to rock?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Antoine, before you were a playing sensation here on the team, you were a social media sensation as a recruit. What was it like to go viral with that iconic photo of you and Coach Fran?
Well, I mean, to begin with, I'm not a big social media person, right? I only had 1,000-some followers before all that. So for me, it was really something new, right? And I was fortunate enough to have a strong team of people around me helping me and guiding me throughout all this process.
Look at that absolute physique there. That is a Kyle Small, Ross Fellows, TC Wolfcatcher type of physique that he possesses. What a brick shit house. There's no way on earth that this Syracuse team is winning less than 4 games. This is my lock. So yeah, TC Wolfcatcher's lock of the ACC was taking Clemson over 7.5. Moreno's lock of the ACC. Syracuse is winning over 4 games. With him at linebacker, with Peel, they're winning. With more quarterback depth, I'm telling you right now, smash this over. Whatever the public expectations have for this team, they're ACC's picking them to finish 14th and only win 2 or 3 games in this conference. That is crazy. Okay, they got a healthy, motivated quarterback returning off an injury. This is a hungry team. Remember back to 2 years ago when this team won 10 games and they had the hottest coach. They had the hottest name in the game at coach. I think, and they get to open up with New Hampshire. That's a win. They got some very winnable games at home. I think they got improved depth at multiple positions. They got first round picks on the defensive side. They got superstars. I think Syracuse is a sleeper team. They're definitely winning over 4 games. Syracuse is getting back to a bowl. Moreno's lock of the ACC this year, over under wins, takes Syracuse over, no doubt about it. Stanford. This isn't your Jim Harbaugh Stanford, man. This is not your John Elway Stanford. This is not that. And while the general media consensus has voted this team dead last, 17th in the ACC preseason poll, they're picked towards the bottom. They had somebody that picked this team to finish first. Who knows who it was? Whoever is out there. If you got the breaking news there, who picked them? I think we probably know it's somebody involved with Stanford football. But even though most people are picking them to finish towards the bottom, They did get a first place vote. So there's somebody out there that is truly, truly believing in this team. Shout out to that absolute madman who filled out that ACC ballot that way and picked Stanford to win the league. They bring in Coach Tavita Pritchard. Okay, I don't think this is going to be an overnight quick fix, but I like a lot of the things Coach Pritchard is saying. He's taking an old school approach. He's not going into the portal. He's doing an old school approach. He wants to develop the talent. This makes the first place pick even more hilarious that, they didn't bring in a top portal transfer class. So interesting decision. The quarterback room underwent a major dynamic shift this offseason. They're moving on from Ashton Daniels, and they're bringing in former Michigan quarterback Davis Warren. He's a sixth-year graduate transfer who brings championship-level stability and a locker room maturity that's going to be needed for this team that's going to have a rough season. He's the projected starter, probably will be the starter. He's got some competition in spring ball with Charlie Muir. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Warren's going to win that job. His stats in Ann Arbor weren't great. 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions in 2024. Could be tough. It's a tough situation out there in Stanford. They play in a lot of empty stadiums. Shit, I think the games I played in high school had more people than they have at these college games, Stanford games. It's a tough spot. I think Tavita Pritchard can have them winning games. I don't think it's going to happen right away. I love Benji Blackburn. I think he's one of the best tight ends. He's a great player to build around. You got to love his nerdy ass right there too. I love their safety. They have a safety, Charlie Eckert. I think he's a hell of a player. He went from underrated recruit to a major defensive disruptor at the end of last year. I think he's one of their best players on defense. But this is a team, man, empty stadium. They're going to be an underdog in at least 10 games this year. They open at Hawaii and then play Miami on a Friday night. Holy shit, that's a tough one, man, because even that at Hawaii, I got Hawaii in my top 10 group of 6 teams. That is not going to be an easy win by any means. They go to Notre Dame. They go to Virginia Tech, Louisville, and defending ACC champions Duke. This could be a long season for the Cardinal fans. But if they win the league, like whoever that madman is that picked them to win the league, if they win this league, I will move to San Francisco and become a bum. I will leave my teaching job of 15 years that I love to do, and I'll go out to San Francisco. I'll go out there and work for Rice-A-Roni, like the dude from Something About Mary. I'll quit my job, and I'm moving to San Francisco. I'm moving to the Bay Area, and I'm becoming a Stanford fan. So hopefully they do that. Shout out Duncan Penderhuse, one of the best field goal kickers that got that Stanford scholarship. The real ones know Duncan Penderhuse. Look him up. Great movie, Duncan Penderhuse. Stanford, Tavita Pritchard. Good luck out there. I think this is a long-ass season for you. Boston College, man. O'Brien went from a local hero to national hot seat in the blink of an eye, man. Less than 12 months, a 2-10 record just switches the expectations completely, and only one win came in FBS, and it was from a beat-up, depleted Syracuse team. He's named himself. He's doing everything he can. He named himself the offensive coordinator. He brought in veteran coach Ted Roof to run the defense. This is an old school NFL coaching staff that's fighting for survival, but they know how to survive, man. He's dealt with tough situations before, and he's overcome those type of situations, and he's going to have to do it. Last year, with Dylan Longren suffering injuries at the quarterback room, it really kind of set the tone for the season, and betting their entire season. And he's betting his entire career at Boston College on Saginaw Valley State transfer Mason McKenzie. McKenzie was a D2 phenomenon, throwing for 17 touchdowns and rushing for 10 more last year. He's a legitimate dual threat weapon, but jumping from that Great Lakes Conference to the ACC to face those defensive fronts like you're going to see at Clemson and Miami, that is a massive ass leap. It did work for Ole Miss last season, and O'Brien's hoping that it's going to work out for those BC Eagles. They got Evan Dickens, who's an absolute baller at running back, and if there's any silver lining for this Boston College team, I think it's safety KP Price. He is a Sunday player. I think he's one of the top 3 safeties in the entire ACC. They get to face Old Big East rival on September 11th in the red bandana game, an old rivalry, the red bandana game against Rutgers. That's going to be huge. If they can win that game, they could be on the right track, on the fast track to perhaps get to that bowl. But only 5 starters returning from a 2-10 team, and all of their hopes on a D2 transfer. It sounds like it could be a recipe for success, disaster. It sounds like a recipe for disaster, but O'Brien has won under difficult circumstances. You think he took over for Joe Paterno after he was firing when the information came out about Jerry Sandusky, and he had to take over with all the sanctions there at Penn State and still produced a winner. So I think with his back up against the wall, this could be where he does his best coaching job of his lifetime. And 3.5 wins, you only have to win 4 games. You know they're going to get that main one. You know they're going to at least win one of that. They're going to at least win one Stanford or Rutgers. Can you somehow get a Cincinnati at home? I don't know. It seems like it has all the makings for a long-ass season. It seems like it has all the makings for a new coach entering Boston College. But shit, Boston College, you're always going to have Marathon Monday. You're always going to have Marathon Monday, and I know about that Patriots Day. I know my guy Kyle Small that's going to be joining the show here to tell us about some of the top draft picks in the ACC. He loves Patriots Day. He has a Patriots Day Mel Gibson wig that he wears and likes to go around the town and strut his stuff, especially when he's flexing his big-ass muscles. I always got a soft spot for Boston College. I put Latimer from the program on there because they reminded me of Boston College. I love the gambling point shaving scandal that Boston College basketball had back in the day. I want Boston College to be good, but the reality of the situation is their ass. I don't know. Is this the year that Bill O'Brien can turn around? Shit, we're going to find out, man. Pop the shirt off.
What?
Go shirtless. Pop it off.
What?
Yeah, that's gonna how you gonna.
I'm wearing them on green.
Shirtless. Yeah, completely shirtless.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better. We got this dude on the show. This guy's been harder to get a hold of, more hard to get a hold of than my dad was back in the day. He was never around. You know him from multiple sperm donation clinics. You know him. He's got the telomere connection research project that we were advised not to speak about. I did mention earlier in the show, and I know you don't like to talk about it too much, but I do want to ask about your Lifetime movie where you start alongside Janet Jackson. Once you go white, your future is bright, because that is one thing that I am in love with you about. So I wanted you to mention a little bit about that, and I'm going to share my screen so our audience can see that as well. So please tell us a little bit about working with Janet Jackson, and tell us about maybe how you got into that movie and how you go from being a football player, from doing research that got you banned in certain communities, to then a Lifetime movie with Janet Jackson. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that was a great opportunity. I used to be a backup dancer for Michael, and travel with him a lot, and we got to meet Janet, and that I was always a big fan of Poetic Justice with Tupac.
This movie reminded me a lot about that. It reminded me.
Yeah, that's why I really like this. They almost casted Tupac for this movie, but the late great, and I got Michael was actually the one that was like, hey, give him a chance, and it worked out. It's wild, you spend a night, late night in Hollywood with some people, and you never know what can happen, where you can end up.
I enjoy it. I told the audience at the beginning of the show that to me, it's up there. It's top 2 favorite Lifetime movies for me. It's this one and Recipe for Seduction, which is the Colonel Sanders movie starring AC Slater, Mario Lopez. But you had some good acting in here. I thought it was a unique twist on typical stereotypes, because you were the white guy that was in prison and she was the black girl that had the good job, and you were the bad boy that could potentially bring her life down. Very interesting story. If you have not had an opportunity to see it, make sure you go do it. Great movie. If you're not watching Smallz' NFL content out there, you are crazy. Some of the best content out there, only on Moreno World. Make sure you're checking that shit out. But we brought you, I know you don't got a lot of time. You're a busy ass dude. We brought you in here. We just broke down the entire ACC, all freaking every team, including Notre Dame, because they're not in a conference. And we brought you in. You're the NFL guy. NFL's making you horny. You only got NFL on there. Give us the top draft prospects to watch in the ACC this year. Who can the audience look to watch that are going to be Sunday players within a year or two?
I really like Sammy Brown.
Yeah, Sammy Brown.
Gorgeous mullet from Clemson. Linebacker, Clemson, filling holes like we do on the weekends all the time. A good old Ashton Hampton, also from Clemson, defense, cornerback, number 2. Very good player. I like him a lot. Miami's new QB, Darian Mensah. Yeah, he's going to be pretty good this year. I like him a lot. He can.
Is there any
quarterbacks throw the ball over the ocean?
Is there any quarterbacks he reminds you of?
Uncle Rico, except darker. Also on a lot of good Miami players, man. I'll Justin Scott and Amon Moten Sr., defensive tackles out of Miami. Good tag team on the defense there. And then, I love the running back position. That's my favorite position on the football field anyway. And Isaac Brown, running back out of Louisville. For him he should be a Heisman candidate this year, I think.
Yeah, he reminds me of a Calvin Jones type running back, and our real ones know that. Those are the players. I know that I've been watching you got some players in the NFL that really make you horny, that turn you on. Who's the guy in the ACC that's making you the horniest this year?
Guy in the ACC? I think Carlos Hernandez, the punt returner from Wake Forest, really makes me horny.
I think he could be a Sunday player. Thanks, man, for joining. I know it's busy. We're going to get you on some more NFL content. Make sure you're watching his prediction show. He's got, I think this next week, we got the Steelers are coming out. Bengals are coming out. He'll be getting the AFC. What do you got? South coming out, or AFC South. Then you'll have all of the NFC. Make sure you're looking at that content. You're getting NFL predictions in 10 minutes or less. Okay, he can't even have sex in under 10 minutes, but he's giving you these NFL predictions. Before we go, earlier in the show, it came to my mind. I mentioned, I want the audience to think I'm laughing or I'm lying about it, but I mentioned a guy that I know you'll know. So just tell us a little bit about Def Jeff before we get you out of here. Explain to the audience, because I kind of explained who he was and they're going to think I was lying, but you weren't on the show or even knew I was going to ask you this. Just explain to the audience, for people that don't know who he is, who he was, what he was, some of his characteristics. Who did he look like? What were some of his features he had?
Well, he was deaf. He was a tall, skinny guy that liked to ride his bike a lot. And he couldn't speak the best because he was deaf. I remember one time when he was roofing your grandma's house, and he fell off the roof and somehow rolled himself up into a tarp as he rolled off the roof and fell into the yard.
I do. I forgot all about that. And I remember. For those of you that are listening, he looks like Randy Johnson.
Yeah, yes.
The old pitcher for the Seattle Mariners, the big unit. That is who this guy looked like. Legend and Carney, absolute legendary figure. Thank you, Smallz, for joining us. We'll let you get out of here, brother, but we'll talk soon, man.
Peace, love y'all. Moreno World.
Later. So that was our show, man. We are here. We did it. ACC football. I'm glad Smallz could make it for a little bit. Next time we're going to get TC Wolfcatcher. College football is here, man. We are literally within 3 weeks, and we're going to be watching college football on TV. Make sure your ass likes. Make sure you subscribe. let me know what you thought about my guy Smallz. Make sure you're checking out his NFL content. The teacher, I got to go back to work. I got to go back to work, man. I've been doing this, been just talking sports and watching sports, but I actually got to take my ass back to work. So we'll be doing that. And I'll be excited to be teaching PE with all those students. But we're going to be watching football. We're going to be talking ball from here on moving forward. Happy college football season. Happy college football, y'all.
Una vez me quedé ahí dormido en la playa y así yo soñé.